teacher right now. But it's an everyday thing, it's always worse in the morning when she wakes up. So I'm sending her off to school, I'd imagine within a couple days, the teacher's gonna be like, yeah, she's always sick. When as a parent, does it cross a threshold? Fevers. Very common in winter, right? We send our kids out, they got hats, mittens, now a face mask. They're gonna ride a hot bus, they're gonna get to school, and they might have rosy cheeks, and the teacher touches their head, or whatever our protocol's gonna be, and they're at 99.4. So.
Well, there is a guideline, I can say that, it's 100.4.
Okay, so.
Okay, so what I
Yeah, where's
say.
the guidelines, like, will Jefferson be providing us something to verify to our families? Are we expected to draw this kind of documentation up?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, it's wonderful news, it's already done.
Sweet.
And it has been done for you from, by Fort Healthcare, because you use their nursing services.
Great.
And it is, I don't know if you guys have seen it, I've seen it, it's beautiful, it's 2 pages. And what I've heard as I talk with Fort Healthcare, they're part of our conversations too, it's again about that relationship, that it's about your school nurse. I'm not sure you have one assigned yet, you're gonna get a really good one, I think. Your school nurse knowing your child is gonna really help. So you as a parent, and however you're in that situation, I would meet with the school nurse and talk through an individual plan. Like, here's the norm, here's the concern, and the school nurse will help with that.
Right. I think as teachers get to know them, they're gonna very quickly know what's normal and what's not quite normal.
Absolutely. I think just a lot of parents, I feel like a lot of parents are asking that question of like, what am I supposed to do? You know.
And I don't know that anybody has the exact answer to that.
Right.
I mean, the bottom line, as you've all heard me say my point today, is like, to stay open, we have to keep those positive cases on the building. If it means that your kid wakes up and it doesn't look right, and you keep them home because, you know, there will be more excused absences for things that we have never in our life excused absences for in our entire life, because we need the population of the building to be safe. And that leads to a whole other educational issue we haven't even touched on there, but it's better than having to shut down a classroom or a building or a district because of that.
And I know it's such a far off piece, but will we be providing the parents with some guidance on the attendance policy and our lapsing so that
I was hoping
if they're not watching this meeting, they're not freaking out that their kids are gonna be, you know.
The 10 days that we talked about in personal health, they did the state mandate. Now, how each district enforces that is obviously handled within the district. I don't know, I've looked for a lot of things from the state that haven't come, so. I think the bottom line of it will be those daily conversations of, yeah, we get it, as opposed to, I don't know that that's gonna be excused, you know, some of that will be secretarial and then eventually conversations with administration if it seems like it's out of control.
And those will be changing and evolving, we'll just have to go through and communicate really well with our parents and other stakeholders. And thank you so much, Pam, for coming, for sharing with us, for answering our questions. Thank you for making sure our district was involved and included in Jefferson County. We are a little different being in both counties, so we really appreciate it.
Sure, and really, anytime that you guys have any questions, give them to me, and literally, I'll get you the answers within 24 hours. I mean, we're really committed to, everyone knows what an impossible situation this is in. And, I just can't tell you how much my opinion about things has changed in the last 6 to 8 weeks. Now that I'm on the other side of the surface, so anything I can do to help. I don't have the answers, I don't make any decisions, but I can sure help you.
No, it's great to have resources like you. Okay, can we move on to board monitoring C, update on reopening plans? That's covered, okay. Updated enrollment numbers?
As far as I can tell, it's like about 7 OEs extra.
And are those coming from Whitewater area, I'm assuming?
Yeah, around the area. I think some people are from Palmyra, they don't like to open to be open, so that's just part of why some of the school districts that are just opening up, not having a virtual option, that's causing some of the open enrollment.
And I did have two families reach out today with Whitewater changing their plans to all virtual for that first semester or quarter. So I'm curious to see what that's gonna garner us in the next week or so here. So,
I know in monitoring some of the online activity, there's a lot of unhappy Whitewater families. And word is sneaking out that this area has, options. So hopefully we'll get some more from that direction.
looking at the sheet from him, it seems like a lot of our leads in are coming from, Waukesha and Oak Creek area. Some as far as, Q4 active kiddos, and then right now, Whitewater is just trending up, so a good mix of the area.
And how about the students that had applied to OE out? What do those numbers look like? Because I know personally, there's a lot of them that were on that list that are staying. Do we have some, better idea of what those numbers look like?
I don't have anything shared in hand with that, but I'm sure that we can ascertain that fairly quickly.
And the other thing is, we have OE out from districts who have not requested records yet. He's trying one, they must not be to that point in their process, so I have some kids, I'm pretty sure are not coming, who are still sitting in our roles, and East Troy seems to be kind of the common denominator district there, so.
Maybe we can just continue through emails, getting updates when you have them and when registration's getting final, so we can kind of keep on top of that. That would be awesome. Okay, we discussed virtual instruction a bit. Is there something more under this that you need to add? Okay. Financials, late assessments and budgets. I don't know if that's gonna come up in the finance meeting, or Al, you had something different for this?
No, it's, we're reconciled, to June, and, we're having good numbers, pending, this is all pending audits, so we're starting our audit tomorrow, and, I mean, they're encouraging, the numbers we have, but, at the same time, we have to, see how the enrollment comes in and ends up being, and then we can basically decide, if we need to take any action at all.
Great, they're looking good, and we're talking about having a budget workshop
Yes.
soon to really go over things, so that's great. Wraparound update, that would be Katie.
Yeah, so we have some exciting, numbers. So we just launched our, wraparound enrollment, on Friday, like on the website, and we advertised today, and we have 8 enrollments. So that means that we are about $2,000 worth of even for our program, so the next enrollee will be a positive number. At the last, CNP meeting, did see an ask for some, operational numbers for Palmyra, and Rich was able to, provide a number of about $100 per week for that Palmyra building. So I'm gonna go in and factor that additional $400 a month to find out where our operation, is sitting. But right now, within 1 day, we have 8 responses in a row, so it's very encouraging.
That's great, any questions on that? All right, thank you. Committee reports, public relations reported at the last meeting. I don't know, Tara, if you have any updates, or you're good?
No, I think we're good,
Okay.
unless you guys wanna stay here longer, I can talk.
Uh-huh. Just kidding. Okay, curriculum and policy.
Curriculum and policy met on August 4th. We discussed, there was discussion regarding the implementation of a social media form for athletics. This was brought up by Joel. At this current moment, we're still checking to make sure it's within, kind of the First Amendment rights, and any concerns that were brought up regarding that are checked into, before it becomes applicable. So we'll get back to you on that.
If I could state that, so I checked, and,
very specific
Yes.
statements, however.
Yes.
That is more of a generalized policy. This was very specific on what students would, athletes would be allowed to do, and they have to kind of sign on the statement, so.
Yeah, I didn't mean to imply that it was.
Yeah, I get you. We also discussed face covering policy after the state mandates were to lift. It was a kind of back and forth conversation, the positives, the negatives, and we're just gonna continue to ride it out and see how this current situation progresses and kind of touch base, and see where we are if and when that mandate lifts. We discussed filling or finding a position for a curriculum coordinator. So the administration team feels that they really need somebody to help kind of direct the overall curriculum throughout both schools and the library and everything else. This person will also help coach, kind of teach teachers how to teach, and make sure that everything is really streamlined and running well. We also discussed that this would be a really valuable piece to the virtual learning that is likely to occur at some point throughout this year, and that it might end up being something that could really be a vital kickoff to the virtual if for some reason we do have to close down. And so there you go. So we discussed that and kind of asked Al to move forward with that position and kind of draw what more it would look like and post on weekend. We discussed the background here, which Katie just updated us. Katie also kind of voluntarily is filling the director position. So she's saving us some money there out of the kindness of her heart. And she's really going to handle that kind of top level, making sure that payments are made and everything's running smoothly. And then her staff will be handling the day-to-day running of it. And so they're moving forward with that and also posting the positions internally. We also discussed and recommended to the boards a new policy from Neola regarding like a coronavirus task plan, so to say, which you've all seen in your board book. So that's all.
Thank you. Building and grounds.
So building and grounds, we met this evening. We discussed results from our roof consultant. The findings are that we are going to have to budget money for the roofs. So it's unavoidable. We cannot defer the maintenance. We also had a kind of a surprise finding of some soft fascia ethos. Never heard of it before, but that's a $94,000 correction that's going to need to be made to save the integrity of the building, actually. So there's a possible 3-year option that can be looked at, but that's all going to be budgeted for. So
yeah, someone tried to save money there a while back, and it's not something we should try to save money with again.
cutting corners costs us more money. So on their agenda, and it'll stay here until it's fixed, but we had kind of a stop on our playground equipment repair, but it sounds like we found a possible new vendor, so we're continuing to talk about that. We did accept one of our elevator quotes, so we're moving forward with that. There was a discussion around changing our work order system, but because of everything that's going on, it's going to stay in place for the next year. Budgeting, food, and then probably the highlight was, then we talked about trucks and transportation. Those quoting processes just started. We'll talk about that again in September. And then lastly, there was a big question, and I'm not sure it was Building and Grounds Committee's responsibility, but we started talking about food and the quality of the food because of some of the hearsay that we heard about the quality of the food getting to Eagle Elementary versus Palmyra-Eagle. We met Annette this evening. She showed us the type of commodities that she has to purchase, the quality of the program, the fact that she is monitored by DPI and the food service. They do keep recordings of the temperature of the food. I was satisfied with her answers, but maybe we should do a little spot visit and have lunch and see what it's like. I don't know, but you know, Zach, you were with me on that one. We'll see. It sounded like it was a positive step though, because the big concern really came up around the 3 different lunch periods at Eagle, and how are they going to keep the food warm? So, you know, you take that with some hearsay that raises some concern, but from what I saw this evening, I was pretty satisfied with what the answer was. And that's all I have.
Great, thank you. Finance?
Finance committee met tonight. We, reviewed the assistant principal contract and, found it complete and accurate. We also discussed review of the bus contract, which I was meeting with the bus company tomorrow to get optimal routes, additional stops, perhaps for Palmyra elementary students being moved, to the Eagle Elementary site. And we asked that we try to work on year-to-year contracts with them so that we're fluid in any situation necessary. We would like to, at our September meeting, set a date for a budget workshop as we get closer towards adopting our final budget in October, but we thought it would be a good chance for the board to get together and ask some questions and have just further information regarding our budget, which we did start with a ground zero budget and built our budget from there. We also asked first how budgeting worked with each component of our school district. The elementary building, the high school, and middle school, the maintenance department, and the district part, and that's something that we're going to continue and further explore, just for the education of ourselves, so that we know, we understand what we're trying to do, and that will be occurring in October. And then the last item that we discussed, which tended to create the most buzz within our community, was an exploration of converting the high school to a K-12 building. We thought that it was important to take it upon ourselves to be proactive and explore all options that may take years and years of information before it would even remotely come to fruition. It is not something that the Palmyra-Eagle School District is considering at this time. As I said last month, and Al reiterated, and we are starting our audit process tomorrow, so it will be completely factual after audit, which is done every single year of our books. This school district is solvent. We have been under budget the last 2 years. While we are under budget, we think it's important for us to be proactive and educate ourselves and be responsible to all of our citizens and our children and within our school district to do our due diligence to examine every option. When a group of us came to this Boundary Appeals Board, we presented a plan. We indicated that we would not be satisfied with just one thing. We would take a look at multiple options. And that is what we are doing. Before we get to a point where the public is jumping to the conclusion that we are going to go to a K-12, we have other steps in between that we also have identified. We are just looking and exploring exactly as our agenda said. It is not something that should be misconstrued in any shape or manner. It is that we want to be responsible, we want to be truthful, we want to be honest, and we want to do what's best for everyone's interest. And that's a finance report.
Thanks, Missy. Yeah, boy, we're gonna look at everything. I mean, what if we closed last March and gone virtually? better to be prepared than to be taken by surprise and not know what you're doing. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, including the addition of C number 2?
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda, including C number 2.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Consent agenda is approved. Action items. Action item A, consider approval of the 2019-2020 seclusion and restraint annual report.
I'll make a motion to consider approval of the 2019-2020 seclusion and restraint annual report.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
It was in the board packet. Basically, I believe the governor issued that, I don't remember the year, but
2012.
2012, every year the school district has to report how many children were restrained to protect themselves, or secluded to protect themselves. From our report, we had one incident last year requiring.
Kaylee, do you have any more? I mean,
You have questions about it? You have questions about it?
I just haven't seen it, so I'm just not gonna vote on it.
okay. We do a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Can I just ask one question? Is it common to have one a year? Is that like a good number? I mean, obviously not a shoot for 0, but.
Through my experience in different districts, I would say that it's extremely low number.
Okay. Thank you, sorry.
Just because of needs of students and,
Okay. I just didn't know what number it is that causes a red flag in a situation like this.
yeah, no, that's what we consider a very low number.
Thank you.
No, that's a good question. We want to make sure we know what we're doing. Any other questions for Kaylee or anyone? All those in favor? Opposed? And Zach abstained. Okay. Consider approval of second reading of the following revised policies as recommended by Neola.
I'll make a motion to consider approval of the second reading of the following revised policies as recommended by Neola. Section 0000 bylaws, policy 0167.1 voting. Section 6000 finances, policy 6116 time and effort reporting. Section 7000 property, policy 7540.02 web content services and apps, policy 7544 use of social media.
I will second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. C, consider approval of first reading of the following updated policies as recommended by Neola.
I will make a motion to consider approval of the first reading of the following updated policies as recommended by Neola. Section 8000, coronavirus disease, COVID-19, policy 8420.01, epidemics and pandemics.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. We have tabled D and E, so we're on to district administrators report. Al, do you have anything to add?
Well, other than what we have both already and, the financials in the budget, I think we're okay.
Okay, that was a lot, so that's good. Any announcements or comments from the board? Okay, upcoming meetings and events, all the upcoming meetings are listed on the agenda. So I will not read through them, but can I have a motion to adjourn into closed session for the reasons stated on the printed agenda?
I'll make a motion to consider to adjourn to closed session for the reasons stated.
I'll second that.
We need a roll call vote to go into closed session.
Doris Parsons,
Yes.
Jean Reith, Michael Eddy,
Yes.
Mitzi Rosinski,
Yes.
Tara Leroy. Zachary Rutkowski. Christiana Williams.
Okay. 8:25, we're adjourning to closed session.